Hey, I really want to say thank you for watching videos on my YouTube channel. My name is Ben Thompson, audiologist, tinnitus specialist. This is the 100th episode of my podcast, the Tinnitus Relief Podcast. I've learned so much over these 100 episodes, but most importantly, I've learned about you. I've learned what is going on in your head. What kind of sounds of tinnitus are you hearing? What are the daily challenges and struggles that you face? And I also face challenges and struggles myself. I also have tinnitus. More recently, my tinnitus has been very mild. It hasn't bothered me in my life. When I first started the podcast, the first guest I asked to join was my older brother and audiologist, Garrett Thompson. Now, about a year and a half later, Garrett and I are running a business together, Treble Health, which is committed to helping those with tinnitus. So this is not only a family business, but this is a labor of love. Since then, I've been able to bring on researchers, patients for tinnitus success stories, other audiologists, other tinnitus specialists, ENT doctors, PhDs, people who are actually going through challenging tinnitus themselves, people who have conquered and had triumph over tinnitus and are sharing their success. Episode 3 featured Troy Kasha, who was my personal mentor at UCSF Medical Center in San Francisco. When I decided that I wanted to become a tinnitus specialist, I was amazed and just so grateful that I was accepted into the program, my top choice at one of the best hospitals in the country, UCSF. There I studied with Troy, and Troy is an audiologist who specialized in tinnitus. I learned his techniques for counseling. I learned his strategies for helping patients find tinnitus relief. And that was, without a doubt, one of my favorite podcast episodes, bringing me back to my roots with Dr. Troy. Other very memorable podcasts include my interviews with Julian Cowan-Hill, Glenn Schweitzer, Jennifer Gans, Cliff Olson, all people who have an audience or have an offer in the tinnitus or hearing world. And early on in the podcast history, to be able to host them and share their knowledge on an interview was very meaningful. They said yes to help me. In exchange, I can help them share their message. And when I'm creating something that's new and novel, to have other professionals join meant a lot. Episode 17 was in Spanish, un episodio en español. And it was not from me. It was actually me interviewing an audiologist in San Francisco who specializes in tinnitus. Her name is Priscilla Lopez. And she is from California, but her family is Mexicana. And that was a great episode of multilingual tinnitus specialties.
This is a short interruption from today's video to announce the tinnitus quiz. Are you frustrated by your tinnitus? Does it affect your ability to concentrate or fall asleep? If you're ready to find lasting relief from tinnitus, visit tinnitusquiz.com to get personalized solutions and treatment techniques to help you manage your symptoms today.
The next chapter in the Tinnitus Relief Podcast history was when I started to interview patients. I wanted to feature success stories of real people who were struggling with tinnitus, used the methods that I talk about here on my YouTube channel, and either worked with me or I was introduced to them, and they had a significant improvement in their case. They are tinnitus success stories. Still to this day, those are some of the most popular videos, some of the most helpful. And I love them because it challenges this false statement that some doctors make that there's nothing that you can do for tinnitus. There's so many things we can do, and the solutions out there change people's lives. So don't think that this is a dead end. Don't think that there's nothing you can do. We have over 100,000 views of success stories with patients who have learned how to reduce their tinnitus. And for them to not only succeed is an accomplishment, but also for them to share their story is a beautiful way for them to give back to the community. One particularly special podcast episode is with Dr. Athos Patsilides, who is a surgeon in New York. He specializes in pulsatile tinnitus and other similar conditions. Pulsatile tinnitus, when tinnitus sounds like the heartbeat or it has a pulsing nature to it, is a poorly understood medical condition for many doctors. They may not realize that pulsatile tinnitus is a different animal than regular tinnitus. So that video with Dr. Patsilides has gotten over 30,000 views. And I know for those who have pulsatile tinnitus, it's an extremely helpful resource. I mean, just think about it for a moment. I get goosebumps when I do that. This is one of the best pulsatile tinnitus doctors in the world. Few people have had actual appointments with him, but now he shares 20 minutes of his best counseling tips, his best educational knowledge, so that anyone in the world can watch it on YouTube. I mean, it's just incredible what we're able to do here and the reach and the impact that we're able to have with our podcast is incredible, and I'm so grateful for it. If this video is giving you an insight into a more casual Ben here, a more relaxed tone, leave a thumbs up. I've been told that my voice is very relaxing. I even did a hearing test in San Francisco when I used to work at the hospital there. And after so in a hearing test, you sit in a booth, you've probably had one, and someone talks to you through a little microphone. So you're in a booth with your earplugs or your headphones, and it's a tough place to be if you have tinnitus. Your tinnitus is very loud. You're probably scared the sounds are going to be too loud for your ears. But I remember doing a hearing test, and after the hearing test, someone came out and they said, "You have such a soothing voice. Would you ever consider doing voiceovers?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm an audiologist. I know maybe I would get into voiceovers, but didn't have any plans to do it. And now I'm doing podcasting. So maybe there is some overlap." One thing that really caught my attention reflecting on the first 100 episodes of the Treble Health podcast is that I've been able to interview and share the stories of some of my colleagues at Treble Health. These are some of the nation's leading tinnitus experts. You might not know them because not everyone likes to make YouTube videos or have a website with their face on it, but these are some of the best professionals that have training and expertise in tinnitus. And fortunately, they believe in our mission. And they decided to join Treble Health, and we hired some of the best in the country to focus on the tinnitus care, the one-on-one coaching and counseling. If you haven't worked with a tinnitus specialist, it's quite a different experience than just going to your average doctor, audiologist, or ENT, or even psychologist. What we can provide is pretty special, and I've been able to interview our whole team, like Dr. Suzanne May, who habituates to tinnitus herself. Dr. Tracy Peck-Holcomb is an amazing audiologist, former president of the California Academy of Audiology. Dr. Sarah Matthews, who is the former president of the Colorado Academy of Audiology. Dr. Michelle Nyman-Kennedy, who worked at NYU, New York University. We have some powerhouse audiologists on our team, and I'm really proud of them. So far, the most popular, the most viral podcast was with Dr. Michael Gollenhofen, who is an ENT doctor out of Germany. He performed research onto the different causes and subtypes of tinnitus. He shared his research on my podcast, and that was a big education lesson for me. I was able to learn about data on the different subtypes of tinnitus, getting more specific details on TMJ, jaw, neck, treatment options. These are just, even me who specialized in tinnitus in San Francisco at a hospital, basically all we were told was just send them to the ENT doctor and they will help with any of those kinds of tinnitus. But I really come to learn that most ENT doctors don't know about these subtypes, and they don't treat tinnitus based on the cause necessarily. They often just treat it as one whole systematic piece. So it's not, that's what Dr. Gollenhofen taught me, that it's not correct to just group all tinnitus as the tinnitus. In fact, it's the more accurate thing to segment different subgroups of tinnitus based on the real problems that someone's going through and the actual causes of why it's there in the first place. Podcast 74 was special. It was with Nina Kraus, PhD, who is a well-known researcher, one of the top tier researchers in the world about the auditory brain and neuroplasticity. She released a book. She's an amazing author. That was a special podcast episode for me personally, because when I was in graduate school, people looked up to her as being the leading researcher on the brain and sound in our entire field. So to have her come on as a guest on the podcast was a special feeling. I've also had some famous YouTubers, Tyrone Magnus, who has over 1 million subscribers, as well as Grandpa and Grandma Griffiths, who are quite popular as well. Both of those individuals had experiences either with tinnitus or hearing loss, and they were able to share their perspectives. I was able to meet them on a personal level, which was also really enjoyable. And one thing that we've learned in this YouTube world is that there's many normal people who have YouTube channels or who are social media influencers who experience tinnitus or hearing loss. And we have this platform here where they can share their story. They can share what's working for them, what was their lesson from either tinnitus, hearing loss, hearing aids, whatever it may be, to give insight and help you in your process. Without a doubt, though, my favorite podcast episodes were the success stories with the real patients who were showing rapid improvement or success, or who got better and has story to share about their tinnitus. I loved it so much to be able to host them. I'm thinking about Loretta, Steve, Josh, James, Tamara, Martin, Kevin, and so many others. Patients who got better with tinnitus, who experienced great relief. And that is our mission, to provide that at scale, to help thousands of people every year reduce their tinnitus with tinnitus maskers, with one-on-one personalized coaching, with our comprehensive program at Treble Health. So if this podcast, episode 100, was meaningful to you, if you like this more relaxed style of me giving reflections, leave it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you've liked about the podcast videos so far. I'll be watching out for them. And this is Ben Thompson with Treble Health signing off. Take care, guys. See you soon.